My name is Kae Vin. I'm 37 years old. I run a business, Project Rock, which is a climbing gym. I was born in Penang and I've been working in Penang for the past 14 years. So I was working before I was leaving the gym. I thought I can squeeze in like a 15-20 minutes workout just to climb. And I think because I was sort of rushing to leave, so I didn't warm up properly. I was trying to do like a dyno move. I missed one of the hole. My hand sort of slipped. I fell forward. The falling motion puts my right leg twisted into a weird position where I twisted my knee. I heard pop. They called the orthopedic doctor. He arranged for an MRI the next day. So when I got the result, the doctor came and talked to me. It was confirmed that my ACL was completely torn. There was no continuity in the MRI. He also said that there was a sort of like a bright spot behind my knee, which he thought it was a hematoma, which is a blood clot. I had to think about, what were the implications of my injury, because I have things scheduled and I have work, I have climbing trainings and my fitness trainings, What the doctor told me, it was the last thing on my mind, hematoma, blood clot. The doctor said that it would go away in 3 months. I trusted the doctor, so I didn't think much about it. So the original doctor that I saw decided that he wanted me to have the surgery 6 weeks later, which I thought it was quite long because I wanted the surgery to be done as soon as possible. I called a few friends and one of my friends recommended me to an orthopedic doctor. He specialized in sport injury. So I thought that might be a better doctor to speak to. He's also told me that he could arrange a surgery for me in 2 weeks' time. So before the surgery, the doctor saw the same MRI. He was a little bit suspicious of what the bright spot behind my knee was. He said that I have done more than 1,500 ACL surgeries and I've never seen a hematoma that is located at that location in an ACL injury. At the end of the day, the doctor decided to go with the surgery. At the end of the operation, the doctor told me that he couldn't find where the hematoma was. He told me that, we should review this in 3 months' time after your surgery because it's still something that was on top of his mind. The doctor was like, okay, let's arrange for an MRI. If it's a hematoma, it should go away after 3 months. When the result was out, I could visibly see the doctor panic. The doctor saw the MRI result and he was like, this is not good. I'm going to refer you to another doctor who is an orthopedic oncologist. And I said, why is that? He said, because it is quite obvious that this is not a hematoma. At the back of my mind, I convinced myself that, it's probably something minor, something not as serious as what the doctor thought it was. I was just, okay, if the doctor said I should see an oncologist, then I would see an oncologist. I was referred to Dr. Prashan. He is a renowned orthopedic oncologist in the northern region and even in Malaysia. We went into the detail of what he thought it would be. He said that, there were 2 possibilities, judging from the MRI scan alone. One would be what he called a fibromatosis, is something that is a benign growth. The second option is something more sinister, is something called a sarcoma, a type of cancerous growth. So sarcoma is something that grows inside your body, inside the muscle, instead of on the skin surface.
People think that a cancer should be painful. That's the biggest misconception. Anything that grows beyond 5 centimeter, even if it's not painful, must be considered as potentially to be sarcoma.
After the consultation, Dr. Prashan admitted me into the hospital to take out a sample of that growth to do what they call a guided biopsy.
We always do a biopsy to know what is the tumor. A biopsy is just taking a sample of the tissue. It's not the entire tissue. It is 99% accurate. Biopsy is 99% accurate as the final procedure, but as in any field, right, there is always 1% chance that the final resection actually comes back as something different.
The doctor told me that the result would be out in 1 to 2 weeks time, and after I was discharged, I was sort of left in suspense within that 1 week plus before I got the result. So I had to spend every day waking up and thinking to myself, okay, is the result out and what could it be? The biopsy was done 3 days before my birthday, on my 36th birthday. I never had that kind of birthday that was, I hope this is not my last birthday, I guess. It was 9 days after my biopsy when I got a call from the hospital. So when I got a call, I knew that it wasn't going to be good. In the phone call, the doctor said, the biopsy result is back and I have some bad news to share with you. It seemed like it is a sarcoma. We would have to start discussing about what we should do about it. The doctor said that he would schedule a PET scan. So that scan was to make sure that my knee was the only place that had the sarcoma and it hasn't spread to anywhere else. After my PET scan, I had my consultation session with Dr. Prashan. Dr. Prashan told me that since the biopsy came back and it indicates that it is very likely to be a synovial sarcoma, he offered me 2 options. First option was to remove the tumor and have some brachy wires installed during the surgery so that I can go for a brachytherapy treatment after the surgery. And the second option was something that he actually preferred because it has more margin, it's cleaner, what they call a megaprosthesis, where they surgically remove your femur bone and replace it with an artificial prosthesis bone which is made from aluminium. Your leg could still function. We will never be able to run again or jump or do any activity that puts impact on your knee. He said that if you ask me, of course I'll prefer the second one because the part of the tumor that is sticking to the bone might be very hard to be removed through surgical means. Of course, I knew what was the prognosis of synovial sarcoma. If you read all the medical journal, no matter what treatment plan you go with, right, you only have a 65% chance of survival rate within the next 5 years. However, I have this question that I wanted to ask the doctor. If I don't do anything about this and I leave it be, what do you think will happen? And the doctor said, if you don't do anything about it, your chance of living past 2026 will be less than 1%. If you want to continue living, you have to do something about it. When you are told that you have less than 3 years to live, it's a very sobering moment. Yes, I felt very disconnected. I felt unreal because my body wasn't telling me anything about it. Like I didn't feel anything wrong with that back of my knee. I had to tell myself that you have to keep this emotion in check and just sort of package it and put it away, put it aside for a while. Now it's not the time to process your emotion. Now is the time to think logically and see what is your best chance of overcoming this disease. My next step after the first consultation session would be to go for a second opinion. I met another orthopedic oncologist. She thought that my ACL surgery had contaminated my entire knee. What she recommended was that she wanted to offer me a surgical procedure to remove the bone, the femur bone and the tibia bone, and replace it with artificial man-made bones. That was her only recommendation. She said that if I don't do that, the chances of me surviving was quite slim. She wouldn't recommend any other thing. I was struck very heavily with that recommendation and that opinion. Apart from thinking about my survival or whether I can live, right? I'm also thinking about what if I have only 3 years left to live? How do I want to spend the rest of my life? At least my adult life was revolving around me being active, and a lot of my happiness was built around being fit and being healthy. To hear about that opinion, that I had no choice but to remove a chunk of my bone, I had to give it a serious thought. 65% survival rate in 5 years. That prognosis doesn't change no matter which treatment option you go to. I have to think, if this is really the final 3 years or 5 years of my life. Do I want to spend it where I'm sort of, my ability is hindered, you know? I am handicapped. I probably would want to stay at home all the time, because having a mega prosthesis in your leg means that there are all kind of chance for you to mess up. The prosthetic bone might just, and you will have to go for another surgery. And that will be the kind of reality and the life that I would be living in if I go for that kind of option. 2 days after seeing the doctor in KL, I made a choice to go back to Dr. Prashan and take up his first offer, where he only surgically removed the tumor and a brachytherapy treatment after that.
If we put it on black and white, of course, the decision is to do a distal femur endoprosthesis. Because we wanted to preserve function, so with the help of brachytherapy, we managed to give this option. I don't think I would have been comfortable giving this option if I did not have brachytherapy on board.
I told a few friends. Of course, they all have different reactions. Some of my friends were saying that, you know, if this was the only chance for me to survive, then I would do it, right? I know I would go for the mega prosthesis. Everyone has a different journey. Some has family, some has kids. Their family depends on them and things like that. So ultimately, I think what my friend told me was that no matter which choice you make, we will always support you. We'll go through this together with you. So I think that was the most heartwarming responses that I've got, where I know that no matter which option I go for, people will always support me. I asked Dr. Prashan, you know, what do you think is the percentage of the pathology report of the biopsy being wrong? If you put a number to it, what would you think is the percentage? And the doctor told me that there was less than 1% chance that this diagnosis was wrong. In the end, my final decision was to stick to tumor resection only and brachytherapy. That was the only treatment plan where I think would preserve the most of my knee function. I could still live life somewhat normally. So the doctor warned me about the consequence of not going with the mega prosthesis option. In the event of a recurrence, it's going to grow into all the muscles and bones and around your legs. If that happens, the only treatment plan is to amputate your leg. Like every decision in life, right? If you take this road, what are you going to miss and what are you going to encounter compared to you take another road, right? To me, what I know is that I didn't want to give up my knee so fast. I want to make a decision where I can preserve it for now, and if anything goes wrong later, I will deal with it on a case-by-case basis. So if something goes wrong, then I'll deal with it again, and if something happens, I'll deal with it again, instead of just giving up directly. I went through the surgery, and when I woke up, I felt soreness in my leg. I was at my normal self. Dr. Prashan came back the next day after the surgery to make sure that I was okay. Dr. Prashan saw that I was eating, I was drinking, and everything was good. I looked good. So he said that, you know, you can discharge in 2 days' time. He was very happy with the surgery. He think that it was the best that he could do under the circumstances. After that, they sent the tumor to the pathology lab so that they have a final diagnosis report of the sarcoma. We got the final diagnosis of the pathology report. The final diagnosis was not what the first biopsy results say. Instead of a sarcoma or synovial sarcoma, this is something called a tenosynovial giant cell tumor. It's usually benign. In my case, there was some malignancy seen in this usually benign tumor.
Tenosynovial giant cell tumor by itself is rare, and having malignant transformation is almost unheard of. Even if you go through the literature, I don't think it even goes into 100 cases in the whole world.
Dr. Prashan was contemplating, because since it is not a sarcoma, should we proceed with the brachytherapy, right? But after some discussion with another doctor, they decided to go ahead with the brachytherapy. My only focus was how could I get my leg to start working again so that I could still be in time to travel to Iceland in October. It was planned before all this, before my injury. It was supposed to be one of the kind of like a trip of your life and things like that. At first, I sort of gave up hope that I could still go ahead with it. But after the diagnosis and after the brachytherapy, all I could think of is how could I get my leg to start working again. All it went through is like, I want to be normal again. I want to live my life like how I used to again. When I was going through all this, one thing that I learned about myself was that, sometimes I cared too much about other people's opinion of me. You could just ignore what people think of you and start doing things that you really want and living the life that you really want to, instead of wanting to impress others or wanting to care about what other people think of you. So this is a part where I think it's very dear to me, because if you are going through the same thing and you don't know who to reach out to, feel free to reach out to me. I would be happy to provide some of the insights that I have been through, so that I hope you are not so lost. See a medical professional, have second opinions, third opinion if you need to, and do a lot of research yourself. Understand things yourself, so that when a doctor suggests something, you have the knowledge and the ability to understand the full context of it and make your own choices. And second thing that I would conclude is that take care of your body. I'm so glad that I took care of my body and I stay active for the past maybe 10 years. It's been 8 months after my last surgery, and I've started running. I'm starting to go back into my active lifestyle. I hope that everyone can have some kind of sports in their life to keep them active and keep them engaged, so that they know how to listen to their body and how to recover from all this kind of sickness, diseases, injuries, etc. Because our body breaks down as we age. So it's only our responsibility to take care of it and not abuse it.